بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I want to share with you today something about the story of Hannah. And Hannah is the mother of Maryam radiyallahu anha. Maryam is the mother of Isa alayhi salam. So this is the story of the grandmother of Isa alayhi salam. Oftentimes we always hear about Maryam radiyallahu anha, we hear about Isa alayhi salam, but we kind of or tend to ignore and not read much into the story of the mother of Maryam radiyallahu anha. Who is this woman and what is her story and what can we learn from her story and apply in our lives? In Surah Ali Imran, this is a chapter in where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala records something about the family of Imran. He subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِذْ قَالَتِ امْرَأَةُ عِمْرَانَ رَبِّ إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنِّي إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. How beautiful is this ayah? Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, إِذْ قَالَتِ امْرَأَةُ عِمْرَانَ. He says, Allah now is revealing to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He's saying to him, remember and recall and be mindful of this event that happened in history way before you existed. When Imra'at Imran, the wife of Imran, her name is Hannah. And Hannah, of course, we're saying she is the mother of Maryam. So her name is Hannah. Allah referred to her as the wife of Imran. When she said, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. When she made a dua and she called out to Allah Azza wa Jal, saying, Oh Allah, I have vowed and promised that whatever is in my belly is going to be free from worldly service. I'm going to explain this to you, but there's something incredibly beautiful here. At the very beginning of this story, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us about a woman and her dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. What a beautiful story. When you read these ayat, you can actually feel and you can sense the humility of this woman and her desperate need of Allah Azza wa Jal. She made a dua. Why did she make this dua and why did she make this commitment and why did she promise Allah that whatever is in her belly will be freed from worldly matters and focused on the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal? Ibn Ishaq rahimahullah, he says that the wife of Imran, Hannah, at the very beginning she was barren. She was unable to conceive. And once she saw a bird feeding its chicks. So she desired a child. And she raised her hand to the sky and she desperately asked Allah Azza wa Jal for a child. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered her dua and He gave her a child. That night she slept with her husband and afterwards she gave birth. And Allah Azza wa Jal mentions at this story at the beginning, إِذْ قَالَتِ امْرَأَةُ عِمْرَانَ رَبِّ إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. Once she received the good news that she was carrying a child in her belly, she made a commitment and a vow and a promise to Allah Azza wa Jal. This is from gratitude. She's thanking Allah that He finally gave her a child. She said, my Lord, whatever is in my belly, whether it's a boy or a girl, I have made a commitment and a promise to you that he or she will be muharrara. This is a beautiful word. Muharrar, I told you, means to be free from worldly activity. The word muharrar, it comes from harra, at-tahrir. At-tahrir means to free something. Like they say, hurrira al-abdu. The slave has finally been freed and let to go. And so the idea is, we're learning that when a person commits upon the worship of Allah, that is what true freedom is. Freedom is in life is to be freed from the shackles of this worldly life. Freedom in this worldly life is to be freed from the desires and temptations of this worldly life, and to be a complete servant and a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what true freedom is. So many people today have confused the idea of freedom. People all over the Western world speak about it's your body, your choice, wear what you want, do what you want, and they believe that is freedom. People believe that is freedom. You're free to wear what you want, you're free to say what you want, you're free to do what you want, you're free to get into any relationship you want, you're free to drink what you want, free to eat what you want, you're free to sleep whatever time you want and wake up whatever time you want. Allahu Akbar. And that is not the life of a believer. And by Allah, that is a deceptive form of freedom. It is not freedom. Every single time you follow your desire, you follow your lust, you follow what you want, you are actually a prisoner to your desire and a prisoner to the temptations. And that is not freedom. If you really want freedom and you're looking for freedom, then you turn to Allah Azza wa Jal in obedience and worship. Every opportunity you have in life in where you worship Allah Azza wa Jal and you obey Him, that is what freedom is. That is exactly what freedom is. Allahu Akbar. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us this freedom in our life. إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. And she's saying, oh Allah, whatever is in my belly, I'm going to free him up or free her up from worldly service. They're not going to do anything in this worldly life. They are rather going to be in your house, which is Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. And they are going to serve in that masjid, clean that masjid, and worship you. What a beautiful intention this is. How many of our parents today, mothers and fathers, when they get married and then the wife gets pregnant, how many of us have this intention? And we raise our hands and we say, oh Allah, we only got pregnant so that we can raise this child upon obedience and your worship. What a beautiful intention it is to make. So many of our young boys and girls are getting married and they got no clue why they're getting married. There is no objective, no purpose in their marriage. I ask the youth sometimes, I say to them, why do you get married? Some of them say because there's a great temptation in society. Too much fitna. I need to protect myself. How is that a purpose of marriage? If you just married for your desire, how does that make a human being different to an animal? Marriage has a higher purpose. What is the greatest purpose of marriage? The greatest purpose of marriage is first and foremost to complete your deen, as the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says. And secondly, to establish a Muslim household, to give birth to children and to father them and mother them upon the obedience of Allah and the worship of Allah. What a great value and an addition to this worldly life. The greatest investment you will ever leave in this worldly life is a righteous child that worships Allah. That should be the intention. Then afterwards, you go out and you look for a spouse that is righteous enough to help you fulfill your intention. That's how it should be. And we're learning this from the mother of Maryam. That was her intention. إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. She couldn't, she's thinking, I want to give something for Allah. I want to give a sadaqah, a donation, thanking Allah for allowing me to get pregnant. And she doesn't have any money in her pocket to give a sadaqah, so she donates what's in her belly. She says, oh Allah, I'm donating this child for your sake, so that he can reform this worldly life. Because any worship you perform on earth, this is considered a reformation on earth. إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لَكَ مَا فِي بَطْنِي مُحَرَّرًا. She then said, فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنِّي. My Lord, accept from me. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Verily, you are the one who hears the dua and you're the one who answers it. Al-Alim, and you're the all-knowledgeable. Subhanallah, brothers and sisters in Islam. And then she gave birth And when she gave birth and it was a girl, she was shocked. Because girls at that time in the Mosaic law were not allowed to serve in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. So she was in a dilemma. She said, Rabbi inni wada'tuha untha wallahu a'lamu bima wada'at. She said, my Lord, I have given birth to she, a girl. She was shocked, meaning, how can I now fulfill my promise I have done to Allah? Subhanallah. She said, إني وضعتها أنثى والله أعلم بما وضعت وليس الذكر كالأنثى وإني سميتها مريم. And then she decided and she said, you know what? I am true to my intention. I haven't changed in my intention. I still have made that promise and I will uphold that promise that whatever was in my belly will be for the service and for the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. So she called her Maryam. And you know what Maryam means? Maryam comes from the word Maryam. Maryam means the female slave of Allah. So, subhanallah, she accepted that Mosaic law, the law that was in place, but she's still true to intention. She called her and named her Maryam, which means the female slave of Allah, to prove to herself that I'm unwavering in my intention and commitment. Subhanallah. Then Allah Azza wa Jal accepted Maryam radiallahu anha to be one that would reside in Masjid al-Aqsa and serve the masjid, and she spent a lifetime of worship, and her story is a very long story, but she was a result of a sincere, honest dua at the very beginning. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, we learn so much from this story. The first aspect was true freedom in this worldly life is in obeying Allah Azza wa Jal, and the second thing is the greatest purpose in marriage is to establish a righteous household, to give birth and to parent righteous children, and that would be the greatest investment for us in this worldly life. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us goodness. We ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our children from among the righteous and to make us all righteous. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.